Here we go once again, guys. Help with homework sheet number 5. Hopefully you'll find this one no too bad. Right, question 1. Nice wee gentle start. Solve the equation giving your answer correct to 1 decimal place. So because we've got that 1 decimal place in there, then that automatically tells us that it's going to be one of these questions which is going to use the formula negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. Now from the question we need to identify the a, which is 1. Okay, there's a 1 there. The b, which is negative 3. We can see that. And the c, which is negative 2. We can see that. Now all we need to do is take each of these numbers and substitute them into that formula. Now the only thing I'll be saying to you about this one is be very careful with the signs. Okay, there's lots of negatives. Make sure you get them the correct way round and so on. Also remember, show your unrounded answer. Question 2. Calculate the area of this triangle. Now, how do we work out the area of a triangle? Well, we've got a little formula that says the area is half the base times the height. So looking at this question, we know the base, it's 8. So that's a half of 8 times. Problem is, we don't know the height. So we're going to need to work that out. So let's call that x. And when we've got a right angle triangle, and we know the angle, and we know one of the sides is going to be a SOHCAHTOA question. Okay, we've while since we did a SOHCAHTOA question. But remember, we name the sides. So looking at this picture here, this side here is going to be the hypotenuse. This side here is going to be the opposite. And this one's going to be the adjacent. So you decide whether it's a sine, a cos or a tan question, and you work out what that height is, what x is. Once you've got that, substitute it back in here and you'll have the answer. Question 3, equations. Now the problem with this equation is the fractions. Okay, the fact that we've got fractions. So the first thing to ideally do is get rid of them. How do we do that? Well, we'll look at these numbers here on the bottom, the 3, the 2 and the 4, and think to ourselves, what number does 3, 2 and 4 divide into? 12, I hear you shouting. Okay, so put a little 12 at the front of this one, a little 12 at the front of this one, and a little 12 at the front of that one. Why? Because we can now cancel. So 3 goes into 12 4 times. So that now gives you 4 lots of 2x add 3. 2 goes into 12 6 times. So take away 6x. And 4 goes into 12 3 times. So you've now got 3 lots of x add 4. Excuse me. Remove all the brackets. Do a bit of tidying up. And you should end up with a nice wee simple answer. X equals 4. Rationalising the denominator. Okay, we know how we do these. Because there's a root 2 on the bottom, then what we need to do is we introduce a root 2 on the top and then another root 2 on the bottom. Okay, the top doesn't really become anything, but you know, or you should know, what root 2 times root 2 becomes. For the second one, this time we've got a root 5 on the bottom. So we introduce a root 5 on the top and a root 5 on the bottom. Okay, again the top just stays as 15 root 5. The bottom, however, will become something else. You've got root 5 times 2. So whatever you put in there, guys, I'm going to tell you just now, you're going to have to do a bit of cancelling as well. So that question isn't finished once you've got the new bottom number. You need to do some cancelling. Question 4. Now we're told that the volume is equal to 300. We're told the diameter of the bottom is 12 centimetres. We're told the formula to use, What we're not told and what we're asked for is h. However, because we've got all these bits of information, then we can start to put these numbers in. So the 300 goes in for the volume. So I'm going to swap the formula around and put the volume at the end. And I'm going to do the third pi. Now, we're going to use this 12 to put in for the radius, but we're not putting 12 in, because remember the radius is just the middle to the edge. So we're going to put 6 in, and it's squared times h. Now, if we can now take the 1/3 pi 6 squared over to the other side, we're going to be left with h equals. And remember, whatever the things are doing on the left, they do the opposite on the right. So if they're timesing, they become divides. If they're dividing, they become times. Question 6. Mr. Weston is grey hair. Estimated every 5 years, 20% of his hair turns grey. So if 20% turns grey, then that means that the amount that stays brown is 80%. Okay, so we need to turn this question around and work out how much hair is brown. So 80% stays brown. So turn that into a decimal. And then it's that number. You can find out how many times we're doing that for. Excuse me, that's the power. Times how many hairs did he start with that were brown, which was 100,000. Get that answer. Okay, now that final answer isn't the answer to the question, because the question says how many grey hairs will they have. So this is the number of brown hairs. So what we need to do is we need to do the 100,000 they started with, take away this answer, and then that will tell you the number of grey hairs. Right, we've done a few of these now. Find the equation in a straight line. So the first thing we need is the gradient. Now, please note that the numbers are x1, y1, x2, y2. Okay, so we're going to use those numbers in the gradient formula. And the gradient formula is m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, so take each of these numbers. So for y2 we're going to put 2 in here. For y1 we're going to put -1 in there. x2 we're going to put 1 in here. x1 we're going to put 4 in here. Okay, so we're going to work out that gradient. Remember to cancel it as much as you can. And then finally we're just going to use the formula y minus b equals mx minus a. Okay, what we're going to use for our AB, well, I would imagine most people would probably pick the second one because they're nice and positive. So you're going to put A in here, you're going to put B in here, your M goes in here, tidy it all up, job done. Okay guys, that's us.